Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport. And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love. We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be. So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together. Hey, everybody. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I'm doing amazing today. What about you?
I'm doing great. I
'Cause
feel
you just
alive.
cold plunged.
I just did my cold plunge. That's why I'm a little late to our recording. And then I ran into someone in the locker room. But let me just tell you my story. So, sometimes I accidentally leave stuff overnight in my locker. So I'm rushing to do my cold plunge. I did a video. I posted on social media. I always have some inspirational message. And then I go to my locker and I go to my same locker. I open it up and I'm like, there's my jacket. I forgot. I haven't had my jacket for 2 days. I forgot I left it in that locker. And there were other clothes in there because I only go to a few lockers in case this happens. So I'm like, oh my God, my jacket's here. I'm so glad. I thought maybe I left it on the pool deck. And then I'm like, oh my God, well, where are my clothes that I wore today? Where's my locker that I used today, 20 minutes ago? So then I went to the next bay and I opened it up and I didn't even lock it. And like my laptop was in it, my wallet, like my fanny pack with my wallet in it. And it was just there for 20 minutes. It wasn't there for very long. But so then I started having this conversation with this woman who was listening to me, like, where's my locker? Where's my stuff? Oh my gosh, it's almost 2:00.
Right.
But all is well because I got the cold plunge in.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, I have been cold plunging too every time I've been at Lifetime. So I think it's been 3 times. And and it's funny because I'll sit because I like sitting in the cold. Like I've done ice baths and stuff for a long time. So I'll go into like my waist and I'll hang out in the cold for like 10, 15. I think one day I did 20 minutes because I was talking to somebody.
Oh, that's great.
And then I'll do the whole plunge before I get out because I can handle my lower body being in there, but like the whole body, it's a big difference.
It is a big difference. So like our it's been warm here. So our cold plunge a week or two ago got down and outside got down to 53. And now it's up to like low 60s because it's been 70 degrees out. But our indoor is like yours. It's in the low 50 range.
Yeah, it says it's 50 all the time. So
I do the opposite of what you do. I actually go in and go all the way under right away. And then I'll stand there. And sometimes I can stand there because I go under right away. I'm all wet. That's the easiest way for me to do it. And sometimes I just ice my legs. Yeah. So it just depends on the day and depends on what I'm doing and my motivation.
Right. Well, if you don't have a cold plunge accessible to you like we do, we're really lucky. I used to do ice baths a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I figured out this system that made it actually really easy to get into an ice bath. And I made a video on it like 10 years ago, but I wanted to share it because it's a good way to ease into an ice bath without it feeling like you're stepping into an ice bath. And what I would do is I would be fully clothed. So like if I just went for a run or I just did a race, I would still keep my clothes on because my clothes make me feel like warm and cozy. So I wouldn't like get naked or get down to a swimsuit. And then I would get a bunch of ice. I usually would just stop by the gas station and buy a bunch of bags of ice and I'd bring them into the bathroom with me, but I wouldn't put them in the bathtub yet. What I would do is I would sit in the bathtub and I would turn on the cold water. And so I'm not putting my body into cold water. It would like start filling with cold water. And so I feel like it was easier because it was like slowly putting my body in cold water. And it was just cold water. So it was cold, but it wasn't like an ice bath. And it wasn't it wasn't cold like the cold plunge water. It was just like cold water. And then then I would fill it as full as I wanted it. And then I'd reach over and grab the bags of ice and I would dump the bags of ice into the bathtub.
Yeah, I think I learned that from you.
And it's so much easier, you guys, because the water that you're sitting in is cold and your body kind of got used to that cold. So when you put the ice in, you can feel it getting colder right away.
Yeah.
But it's not as cold as if you would have made an ice bath and then stepped into the ice bath.
Right. It's like a little bit of a water acclimatization process of when you're getting used to cold open water. You get in, you get the water in your wetsuit and your body warms it up before you actually take that cold.
Yeah, so if you're looking to do like an ice bath or a cold plunge, like to me, that's how I used to do them all the time. And it made it really tolerable. And then I would sit in it, I would distract myself. I'd like eat my post workout meal if it was like a long run. I would sometimes, and I did this whole series when I did the 7 marathons, I did a video in the ice bath every single night.
Nice.
I did my race report in the ice bath. That alone took up like 5 or 8 minutes. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, but you could see in the video, like my lips starting to turn blue. So it was funny. But yeah, I would distract myself, just like when Wendy does her, she makes a video and then she posts it. She's probably still standing in the ice bath and it's distracting for a good 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's totally what I do. So after I make my video, sometimes a minute or two goes by. And then, like today, it wasn't that cold to me. So then that's probably why I'm late. Cause I'm like, well, now I got to go plunge in the real ice bath.
Right.
And so I stayed in there for a little extra longer after I went under,
You did
to
double
make
plunge.
it the cold, because it gives me a lot of energy. I didn't eat, I had coffee, but that was a couple hours ago, but I feel really motivated, pepped up.
Energized. That's awesome. So what's your wellness win for this week?
I knew you were going to ask that. I think it's just staying committed to, what we committed to last week is every time we're at Lifetime, we're going to plunge, because I mean, not every day I'm motivated to, not every day I feel like like today I was rushed, but I'm like, I got to get this done now because I don't want to do it after I coach the kids, because I just want to go home. So I think really a win for me is the commitment I made to myself. And we kind of talked about accountability, and that I'm still committed to it. So I think that's a wellness one for sure.
Oh, 100%. So my wellness win is huge for me. So I went back to jujitsu a couple weeks ago. I had taken 3 months off when I was doing my races because I kind of hurt myself a little bit, like every time I do jujitsu. Not bad, like no injury, but like I tweak my ankle or I hurt my toe or something sore, and then I can't do what I do. I can't go for a run, or it hurts like my shoulder or something. So I took 3 months off. So going back was a huge struggle. And this last week, I went on Tuesday and there were two new girls. They're adorable. They're probably like mid 20s. And they were so excited to be there. And they were like, everything we were doing, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. And I'm thinking, like, I've never once in my whole year of doing jujitsu have I ever thought like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. So it was kind of neat to have that energy of these young girls, like, learning these moves that are like so like crazy and awkward and hard. And then they're like, that was awesome. And so I got partnered up with one of them, which is actually a wellness win in itself, because typically the Tuesday class for like 6 months, I was the only girl. And most of the other people were like young men who are like blue and purple and brown belts. And
Mm-hmm.
then this like little white belt girl that doesn't know anything. And so I always just felt so inadequate, and I just felt so awkward, and I'm horrible at this. So
Yeah.
I got partnered up with this brand new girl who just started. And when she was like, oh, wait, I don't really know what to do, I was like, oh, and it kind of like, I, I don't know a lot. Don't ask me any questions. I don't know a lot, but I knew more than this girl who just started.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of cool to be like, oh gosh, I have to pay attention to this move we're doing because I have to be the one who helps her, instead of in the past I pay attention and it doesn't make sense, and when I get partnered up and we're working through a move, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing, and then they kind of show me, or the coaches come and show me. So I had to pay attention, and it actually was. And when we were done with it, like at the end, we roll for like 3 minutes where we're just kind of grappling on the floor and practicing the moves, like live training. And when we were done, she was like, that was the most fun I've had in so long. And she's like high-fiving me. And she's like, that was so awesome. Thank you so much. She goes, you're so good at this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like such a wellness win that I walked out of there feeling not like a failure.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
So yeah, I was like, I think this is the first time in over a year since I've started jujitsu that I actually enjoyed myself. So it was a huge wellness win.
Yeah, the whole feeling like a failure, that's just weird for me to hear you say that.
I know. And it's funny because this one guy that I get partnered with a lot, I'm
Hmm.
like, I swear I'm really good at my sport because I feel like I'm so bad at jujitsu that like I have to let people know that I'm actually good at some other things because it makes me feel like I'm not good at anything.
Right.
But I know that's not true. So it was really fun. So this is coming out on Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, Wendy.
Happy Thanksgiving, Kirsten.
So Wendy and I are going to talk a little bit about kind of our traditions, how they've evolved over the years, both of us being plant-based. However, both of us have spent plenty of Thanksgivings throughout our life with people who aren't plant-based and kind of how that looks. And just, this podcast isn't all about food, but I know that people ask me a lot about food, and especially on holidays, and especially when somebody is trying to eat a certain way but the rest of their family isn't. And that doesn't have to be vegan. It could be gluten free. It could be I'm trying to lose weight and I don't want to go every time I go home for the holidays, I gain weight because my family expects me to eat this certain way. So I've had a lot of experience with this, and I know Wendy has too. And we both kind of come from different places because we've both been vegan or vegetarian different amounts of time. We both have families that are like right now, my family in my home is my daughter and I, and we're both vegan. So it's really easy. Whereas Wendy, her husband, is not vegan. So I just wanted to talk about like what our traditions are, how they've evolved over time, what they include, and then mentioning some things about food. And if any of you guys are struggling with, I'm going to be with family on Thanksgiving. And I'm not sure how to navigate that with the way I want to eat compared to the way they expect me to eat. And one of the things I do want to talk about, and we can kind of go back and forth on this, is also if you are somebody who has any sort of eating disorder, compulsive overeating, body image stuff, any eating disorder stuff, I feel like is really a struggle around the holidays. For me, that was always my case. And I had to kind of take a step back from like Thanksgiving in my view of Thanksgiving and how I see other people. It's very food oriented. And that's a big struggle when you have any sort of eating disorder. So we can also kind of give some suggestions for people who are struggling with that, because I know I've navigated several Thanksgivings where my goal was not to be full.
Mm-hmm.
And how I did that, reaching out to people and having some support with that as well. So do you want to just start, Wendy, kind of like what your Thanksgiving rituals and traditions are now and how they've kind of evolved over the last few decades?
Well, like my tradition has always been my mom's house. And so even when I first moved to Colorado, I would fly back. I would fly to Atlanta and be with my parents, usually for the Thanksgiving holiday, because as we were growing up, all our relatives would come to our house for Thanksgiving. And so that was just a tradition to try to keep on going as we got older. And then 2 years ago, I think my mom had a boyfriend, and she wasn't going to spend Thanksgiving with us because
Oh, she was going to go to her boyfriend.
That was kind of
Okay.
like the introduction to us finding out that she had a boyfriend. And we're like, so we're not going. She lives in independent living facility, and I'm like, oh, we're not coming here for Thanksgiving. Like, how does your granddaughter feel about that? Because her granddaughter has always gone to grandma's house for Thanksgiving, and then she would spend the night and they do the Black Friday weekend of shopping together. And so it was interesting that kind of stopped that tradition. So the year my mom was going to Dave's, her boyfriend's house, we decided, well, let's have my sister, my niece, and any of Don's family and my other sister who lives in New Jersey let's just start a tradition of our house. So last year we were at our house. And then this year I'm just like, let's just keep it at our house. Let's keep that tradition going.
And so as far as like food goes, because you're the only vegan, correct?
Right. And so let me start by saying, so I was on a podcast, the Everyday Athlete podcast, and we did a thing called the Party of Five. And I was supposed to invite four other people and provide the dinner and drinks for these four people: one musician, one TV person, one everyday athlete. I don't remember. And it was me. So I invited you to keep me grounded. I'm more the introvert. You're more the extrovert. I invited 80s. I invited Andre the Giant as the wild card. I invited Gary Goldman, the comedian, And I invited erasure because I'm an 80s kid and they're all have to do with, that time frame. So I decided, because I just did the podcast, to provide a Thanksgiving Day meal that has 85 grams of protein per serving, because the number one thing vegetarians and or vegans get questioned is, where do you get your protein? So I
Right.
just kind of wanted to start with what I supplied in this podcast, because I wrote it down. But we started with a lentil and walnut pate with gluten-free crackers, which sounds very delicious to me because I love lentils and walnuts. And then our main course was a stuffed seitan root roast, and seitan is a wheat gluten, and that has 35 grams of protein just for a serving of the seitan roast. And then for sides, we had a quinoa kale salad with chickpeas and pumpkin seeds. And I've actually had that before. Brussels sprouts with smoked tempeh bacon bits,
Mm,
flavored tempeh that tasted like bacon. Brussels sprouts are one of my favorite things to have
me
in
too.
Thanksgiving. And then we had garlic mashed cauliflower with nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast adds that extra protein. And then for dessert, we had chia pudding and almond butter with berries. And all one serving of all those components of food added up to 85 grams of protein. So
Nice.
it was just one of those things I wanted to stress on that podcast, how we get plenty of protein if we want to. So traditionally, though, for me, I'm not someone who cooks. And so Don and I tend to get a Thanksgiving meal from Whole Foods. I'll get my vegan options. He'll get the traditional turkey, cranberries, green beans, mashed potatoes, stuffing, regular traditional Thanksgiving. And we'll get each. We'll do a thing of each. And we're not doing that this year. We're actually going to order sides from his daughter, which we did last year because she's a chef.
Okay.
And so I've been fine with that. Like, they want to eat their turkey. My mom likes turkey. That's fine, but it's a little much for the small family that we have. So my mom always helps prepare a field roasted tofurkey, which my niece loved. And when I tried it, I kind of fell in love with tofurkey. And so I just bought a tofurkey to bring to my mom's house so she can prepare it.
Right.
So it's not an issue for me. I've been vegan for so long and I love tofurkey. I actually look forward to it because that's the only time I eat it is on Thanksgiving Day. And I like to have leftovers. It's not an issue for me to be around people who eat meat or turkey, or to prepare my family with turkey for them. I actually am going to get a small roast from Whole Foods of turkey because, again, I don't cook. And so Thanksgiving to me is really easy. Holidays for me are usually kind of stress-free times in my life that I don't get all caught up into everything that maybe I used to. Not
Right.
anymore, since I've grown up and I've done my own thing, and I'm not a child anymore with all these family people, relatives. I don't do that anymore because I didn't like that as a child. So it's pretty easy for me.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, my grandma, all growing up, our Thanksgiving was always at her house. She lived just like a couple blocks from us, and so it was my dad's side of the family. So all the aunts, uncles, everyone would come over there, and then we had a big Thanksgiving. And I was vegetarian as a kid, and so I would still eat mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes. I pretty much ate all the sides.
Right. Me too.
And so I would just go in the kitchen and I would make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Huh?
So my grandma had like the super squishy white bread and then like that grape jelly that was kind of like jello-ish. And
Yeah.
it was like all the junk food, peanut butter, jelly, and bread.
Yeah.
And I would eat like 5 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And then I would eat like 20 pieces of pumpkin pie because pumpkin pie was always my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So all growing up, everyone else ate turkey and stuffing, and I just ate like all the sides. And then when we stopped going to my grandma's, when my grandparents passed away, my mom, she loves cooking and she would make big meals, and she would always make me like a thing of stuffing that wasn't in the turkey, or one of the sweet potato casseroles that didn't have the dairy and the eggs in it. She would make me like a couple of vegan options. Like she would say, "What do you want most?" And then she would make the vegan options for me. So my family's always been really good about when as I was getting older, of kind of being like, "Oh, I want to make sure you have something."
Yeah.
Whereas now, I just, no matter where I go, I'm like, I'm bringing my own stuff, and
Yeah.
I
Sure.
don't really love any of the. It all sounds like a good idea. Like I've done the native foods. They used to have a big
Uh-huh.
Thanksgiving buffet before COVID. And I did that 4 or 5 years. and you just go in, and I would just go by myself, and I'd go usually before I spent time with family. I would just get all my eating over with. And I thought I wanted the whole traditional Thanksgiving thing, which they had all veganized. But I found like those aren't my favorite foods anyway.
No, they're not mine. And again, I'm going to say as a child, I used to eat turkey. And then when I stopped eating meat and just became vegetarian, I was late teens. Then I did the same thing with you. I'd have stuffing that wasn't in the turkey. But honestly, I don't really like Thanksgiving Day food. I mean, I love the Brussels sprouts. I could eat Brussels sprouts anytime, but I'll buy Whole Foods Brussels sprouts that are vegan, not made with dairy butter. And I love sweet potatoes and I love roasted vegetables. And so that's like the bulk of what I eat on Thanksgiving, plus my tofurkey. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So as I've gotten older and like more like I don't do things with my family as much on Thanksgiving, I usually just go out and get like Chinese food or Indian food or something that I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy more. And Thanksgiving really isn't even a thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Every other year, so my daughter's dad and I split her, we alternate years for Thanksgiving. And on the years that I have her, which has been 3 times so far, we go to California for Thanksgiving because my sister's there, and then all her kids are coming home from college or wherever they live. And so last year we did that. We drove out to California for the week. I always definitely, and I think you do some sort of Thanksgiving run, turkey trot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always, I think I can't even remember not doing a turkey trot or something similar on Thanksgiving.
Right. The year in 2023 when I couldn't run, I couldn't do the turkey trot because of my broken knee. And it didn't feel like Thanksgiving. Just because we're doing a turkey trot in Fort Collins. Oh my God, Fort Collins was the main event. Like I used to volunteer at registration the day before all day at
And
the
you
Fort
win a
Collins Club.
pie.
Everyone would get so drunk, and then you'd go and you'd win a pie, and everyone would get so drunk in downtown Fort Collins because the bars were open for us. Oh my God, what a tradition, what a blast. And then the one year I couldn't do it, just wasn't the same.
Right. And Wendy and I used to actually have a tradition where we did it for like 5 or 6 years, a
Mm-hmm.
marathon on the treadmill
On Thanksgiving Eve.
on the night before, the day before Thanksgiving. And I remember you had the year that I think you stopped doing it, you were like, because you were doing a turkey trot that you wanted to do really well in.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I'm not going to do it. But then I think you did it like the next day or something.
I did it that week. I did it the next day. I did it the next day. I do remember that because I did it on Friday. And I think that year I did it on Friday. I think I ran a mile on 26 treadmills.
I remember you did that at Fort Collins Club once
I
too.
remember I did that at the Fort Collins Club. So I think when we used to do it together, it was a little bit easier, a little bit more motivating.
Yeah, I remember the the first time doing it apart too. I remember Jail came and did it with me one
Uh-huh.
time after you moved. But then other than that, I was doing it by myself. And the last time I did it, I was in 2017. I did it the day before Thanksgiving. We were in California and I felt like crap the whole entire time. And I still did it. And 2 days later, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh gosh. I
I
remember
know.
that.
I
Wow.
know.
And then we used to I'm 2 hours ahead of you. So I would be like, I'm done. And you would probably just be getting started, but we would FaceTime each other and take photos. And that was a really good tradition, but nothing I need to continue.
Dude, same, same. I have no desire. I even thought about that this year. I was like, no, I'm going to do a turkey. I'm going to do a K. And then
Uh-huh.
I'm actually really excited because this year, my friend Kat and we already have tickets to go see the second Wicked movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that place we're going is a dinner theater and
Right.
they have lots of vegan options. So my Thanksgiving dinner this year, because my daughter is with her dad this year, is, yeah, my plan. It's kind of like my mom is going to California and then my daughter's with her dad, and I'm going to coach first thing in the morning because the club is still open in the morning on Thursday. And then I'll probably swim, go do the turkey trot. And then we're going to the movie. We'll eat delicious food. I'll watch an amazing movie. And then I'll probably come home and take a nap.
A nap for sure. Like I'll go do my race. And I told my family, let's make it 1 o'clock, like not earlier, because I'm gonna want to come home from my race and take a nap.
Right.
Naps are a must on holidays. I mean,
Oh
that's what
yeah,
it's all
totally.
about.
So I did get invited to a Friendsgiving, and it's funny because I've always heard of people doing Friendsgivings, and I've never gone to one because if my mom is in town for a holiday, I typically spend it with my mom. Even the years that I haven't had Cora, if my mom's home, but the last few years she's been going to California every Thanksgiving, and we've just been going every other Thanksgiving. So this is the first year. I think I've been invited to Friendsgivings before, but this is the first year that I might go. I'm going to kind of play it by ear. But it's a group of vegans. It's the people I do the animal rights stuff with. And it's just it's a potluck. Just
Mhm.
bring a dish. There's a little sign up thing so that not everyone brings pumpkin pie, but bring a dish and just hang out with your friends and fellow vegans and eat all the vegan food.
Yeah, we'll do a swimmer. I'll coach Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and we'll do a little Friendsgiving with the swimmers that I
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah, that's fun. So you said that like it hasn't really been like you growing up. Did you ever have any issues with around eating disorder stuff around the
The
holidays?
eating disorder stuff started in college.
Right,
And so when I would come home from college for the holidays, that's when I did have some preoccupation with food and I would overeat because I wouldn't eat all day and then I'd be starving by the time the meal was done and I'd overeat. And so I would say I had exercise bulimia because the next day I would go do a big workout. And
right,
I was a swimmer, so I'd go swim for a couple hours. I didn't need to, but I'd wake up really early and go to the gym on my own and just do my own thing. And I would do it for a very long time.
right.
Other than that, like as a child growing up, I just didn't particularly enjoy the family just dynamic of so many people in our house. I'm not a big fan of crowded places. And we would have a crowded place of family members. I've never been very close to aunts and uncles anyways. So it was just kind of like, just not my thing to be wanting to do. Of course I love my aunts and uncles and cousins and nieces, but I was never really that close to them to want to do the holiday thing. There's always, every family has their own type of drama. So it was just a different type of drama. It wasn't like anything like bad. It was just like, I just wanted to go off on my own and do my own thing, and then again, like usually the meal time is at a specific time and it throws off my normal rhythm of eating.
Yeah,
And again, most people don't try to eat a lot if they're going to eat, so I like 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock is a good time for us to gather and we're eating by 2. We're having our appetizers and we're eating by 2. And then we could still snack at night, but we're not like waiting all day till 5 or 6 o'clock at night and eating because then
right,
no one ever eats enough. I always do because I always do a race in the morning, so I want to eat, and I want to stay on my rhythm of eating every 3 hours because that's just what my body likes to do. My body gets hungry and it doesn't eat a lot every 3 hours, but it likes to eat every 3 hours.
right, right,
And so
right.
I kind of still stay on that rhythm now that I have a good relationship with food. I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't have any preoccupation. I probably do eat more than I normally would on Thanksgiving because it's just the different flavors and different types of foods that I only have once a year. But I'm fine with that. Like I don't get up the next day and say, oh my God, I got to go run a marathon or anything like that. I used to, but I don't anymore. And a lot of that is just my relationship with food is normal. And I'm always training, like I'm training for events now. That's one reason I don't do a marathon on a treadmill because I actually have events that I want to do well in and I don't want to ruin it by trying to do a
By
marathon.
just running for four and a
That
half
was
hours.
fun in my younger days, but not anymore. So I don't want to sacrifice anything to impact my races coming up. And so it's all good. It's all good for me, but I can totally relate to anyone who does have that preoccupation with food and they do get anxious around a lot of food because let's face it, if you have just a family of 10 and everyone brings a side dish, that's a lot of food.
Right,
And you really just have to not let yourself starve before the meal. You have to have, like I know I'm not going to have a lot of protein sources during that Thanksgiving meal food, except for my tofurkey. I'm going to have a lot of sides that are richer in carbohydrates. So I'm going to make sure I get my protein shakes in earlier in the day as a lead up to a higher carbohydrate meal.
so one of the things that I did, because there was, I was kind of the same way. I wouldn't worry about how much I ate because I was always doing like the treadmill marathon or erase Thanksgiving Day and then doing more exercise and exercise. But when I was going through the more of the recovery process for eating disorder stuff, I was purposefully not using exercise as a tool to counteract my eating. Like I was purposefully trying
You
to,
learned that.
yeah, it's like, if you're someone who's like binges and purges, you have to stop purging. And over exercising, like you said, exercise bulimia, it's like I could keep exercising, but that's not healing me at all. And that's
Right.
not
That's
helping
not
my
fixing the
recovery.
source of the problem.
So I think there were 3 Thanksgivings where I was in my mid to late 30s, I believe, and I was with family. And one of the things we talked about in my recovery group I was in was staying mindful and staying present, which Wendy and I talk about a lot. And I wasn't good at that. If I got anxious or, whatever, I would just, because there's all the appetizers out. And like Wendy said, there's all these sides. And when you're a little bit anxious in your environment, or not you, but me, this is how I know a lot of people like this.
Right.
When I'm anxious and in my environment and I'm talking to someone and I'm a little uncomfortable or whatever, just the food's right in front of us and we just start munching. And then next thing you know, it's like all goes to hell. So one of the things that we did was we had a little group chat and we had our phones. And what we agreed to do was if ever we felt uncomfortable or if ever we felt like we were going to mindlessly eat, not if we're hungry and it's time to eat, that's a lot different than if you're not hungry or you've already eaten and you're still picking at food and mindlessly eating. So if we found ourselves wanting to do that or starting to do that, we were texting our group. And even just people texting me would like stop me from whatever I was doing and brought me back to the present moment to remind each other. And I remember the first year that this happened, like phones weren't this was 15 years ago.
Right.
Of course, we all had phones, but phones weren't like they are now where everyone has their phone with them. It was more like people had their phones in their purse or their phones somewhere and they would check them a few times a day. Where now it's like a few times a minute people are checking phones. And I remember my mom's husband noticed that I kept like getting on my phone and looking at my phone. And he said something, it was annoying to him that I kept looking at my phone and grabbing my phone because I never told anyone this is what I'm doing. I kind of was like, kind of my little secret, like I want to work on this, but I don't want anyone to know. So one thing I would advise, and I've advised this to people who have told me, oh, I'm trying to eat less, or I'm trying to drink less. This is huge with drinking too. Or I'm trying to be vegan, or I'm trying to this or this or this. Let the people know before the event that this is what your goal is. And like if you go to a party with your family and you're like, hey, you guys, I want to let you know I'm really working on not drinking as much alcohol. I want to have a couple drinks, but this is really important to me right now. This is a goal for me. And I mean, of course, there's some people that might give you crap about it or might give you a hard time. But if these people that you're with really love you and you tell them this is important to me, they're not going to be offering you drinks left and right the whole day. So then it takes a little more pressure off you from having to say no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, because that's where when you have an issue with overeating, over drinking, over anything, when it's offered to you, it's sometimes really hard to say no. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. You don't want to, so I think that's what I would say is if you feel comfortable with it, it's kind of like setting boundaries. It's going to the people who are going to be there, if it's your family, your Friendsgiving, whatever, and say, hey, I know it's Thanksgiving, but I've lost 10 pounds in the last month and I really want to keep this going. So I'm going to eat a little bit, but like, if I don't eat a lot of everyone's food that you guys brought, like, don't take offense. I just really need this for me. And then hopefully the people who love you and respect you will respect those boundaries as well.
Yeah. I think it's a lot easier this day and age to do that than it was when we were growing up. Because I think just more people are open and honest about their boundaries and their priorities, and the fact that they have a depression disorder, eating disorder, anxiety disorder. People are more open to talk about it And so I think it's just a lot easier to do that now than it was then.
Yeah. And I know, and even if it's like I love taking a nap, or I love time on my own, or I love like on big holiday, and luckily my family is also like this, but I know a lot of people who aren't. If we're full or right after we eat or before dessert, we'll take a walk.
Yeah, so do we.
Yeah. And so if you're in a family that doesn't do that, maybe say, hey, you guys, I'm going to go take like a 5-minute walk. Does anybody want to join me? And don't think just because nobody wants to
That you can't.
that you can't. Yeah, do it anyway. And make sure you just take care of yourself. It's part of the self-love. It's part of the self-care, is creating these boundaries, making a plan for your day. If you struggle, if you have anxiety, if you have any of these eating issues, drinking issues, anything like that, that you're trying to work on, make a plan. Don't just be like, oh, I'm going to get there and see what happens. Because I guarantee if you, like, when I was compulsive overeating is something that I didn't want to have. So if I just go somewhere and I'm going to be like, I'm going to be around a bunch of food and I'm just going to wing it, that will automatically turn off horribly.
Yeah. And again, if you have this worry, just again, don't show up to the party hungry. Drink a protein shake, because you're not going to get a nutrient dense protein shake type of nutrients in a Thanksgiving Day meal. So
Right.
drink one because it's hydrating, it's going to fill you up, and hopefully just prevent that overeating that might occur. Sometimes, again, I've talked to people and I don't understand it now, but I'm talking to an athlete I coach. He just overeats, and we're trying to communicate about it. Like, I'm trying to help him out. He just tells me he doesn't know why. I'm like, if you don't know why you're overeating, that you're not going to fix the problem. We have to go to the root cause. Is it emotional? Is it stress? Is it you didn't eat enough during the day and so you're overeating at night? I mean, there's got to be a reason that you're overeating. It can't just be I just aimlessly randomly eat. And maybe it is, and I just don't understand how that can happen. But again, it's all being prepared, have a plan, and it just takes it the easy, the stress. It's less stressful. It's less anxiety
Yes.
driven if you have it.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to bring your own something. Like if you're trying to drink less, but you like cherry cola Zavia, bring a 6-pack of this so you have something in your hand. Because I know a lot of people, I don't drink, so I don't understand the drinking part, but I feel like my eating, I can, because of the way I've been with overeating and
Mm-hmm.
addictive to stuff like that, I feel like I understand alcoholism. But a lot of people are like, oh, I feel weird when I don't have a drink in my hand, or if everyone else is drinking, I just start drinking. Bring something that, if you're trying to have less alcohol or no alcohol, bring something non-alcoholic that you like to drink to hold in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Drink lots of water. That's good for everything. It fills you up. It makes you feel like you're doing something. It's hydrating, it's healthy, and it could keep you from drinking too much or eating too much or smoking too much or whatever you're trying to work on. And Wendy and I aren't saying like you have to like continue your perfect little diet over Thanksgiving. Like Wendy said, I eat too much on Thanksgiving and I'm okay with it. So we're just talking to the people who go to these big family gatherings for the holidays and don't want to, eat too much or drink too much or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
So anything else you wanted to add on that?
No, I think we talked about a lot. We covered a lot.
We did. Did you have any listener questions?
No,
Okay, I have
I
one.
do, but I didn't prepare them.
Okay. I actually had two, but we'll just do one today and then we could do one next week so we can wrap up. So somebody that comes to one of my classes asked me yesterday. She said, and Wendy and I have talked about this before, but in case you missed those episodes, she said, "Do you take a rest day?" And I said, "Me personally, are you asking like?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm just curious. Do you take like a scheduled rest day?" And I said, "I don't. I listen to my body. If I'm exhausted, if I'm starting to feel depressed, or I'm so sore, or I just did a big event, or I'm so busy, or if there's something going on, I'll take some time off. But my body personally doesn't like to do nothing. So a rest day to me might be sitting on the bike for 45 minutes on level 0, like 12 watts, but just moving my legs in a circle and getting my blood flowing a little bit. That I would consider that a rest day. But I don't do a scheduled rest day. I have some when I coach athletes, and I think Wendy's the same way. I ask them, do you want a scheduled rest day? Because some people do. They might be super busy on Monday. Like they don't have time to train anyway. So they're like, will you make Monday my rest day? And I'll do that. But if they're like, I don't know, do I need a rest day? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just play it by ear, learn to listen to your body, learn to see the warning signals of if you feel like you are getting sick or getting injured or doing too much or your spirits are low, and then let's take a rest day. But I don't schedule one at all. And I think you're the same way, Wendy, correct?
Correct. I always ask athletes, usually when I start coaching a new athlete, I just go with it. And then after a couple of weeks, I'm like, by the way, do you want a scheduled, I'm going to call it a day off training. Because I think our rest days are easy workouts, zone 0, zone 1, zone 2 workouts, zone 0, zone 1. So I take plenty of recovery days, rest days, easy jogs, light spins, swim for 1,000. But as far as I don't schedule days off. I just take a day off when I need a day off. And a lot of that has to do with around like a taper time or I'm prepping for an important race. And even on my scheduled day off, usually involves an aqua jog or something light on my legs to keep my legs loose.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And then I did ask her why she asked. I said, why do you ask? And she said, because all my friends keep telling me she's not an athlete. She just works out every day. She goes to the gym and works out every day for like an hour or two. And she's older than we are. And she said, all my friends keep telling me I need a day off. And I said, do you think you need a day off? And she said, no, that's why my answer was confirming for her what she wanted to hear. You know what I mean?
My question to her would be like, well, why are they telling you need a day off?
Right.
Are they seeing that you're really exhausted and that you need a day off? Or are they just saying, oh, everyone needs a day off?
No, they were just, because we talked about that. Everyone just tells her she should take a day off because that's what you should be doing. That's why she asked me, because she knew I was an athlete, and she said, and she wanted to know if I personally did it. And so I told her that, and she said, okay, good, because that's what I believe too. But I wanted to check to make sure that I was doing the right thing. And I said, if it's the right thing for you, it's the right thing.
Yes.
So that was a great question. So thank you guys. Keep these questions coming because they're great questions. And usually if someone has that question, if you have that question, somebody else wants to know the answer. So what are you most excited for coming up?
Kind of a relaxing post-Thanksgiving weekend. Nothing planned.
Oh, I love nothing.
No races, no swim meets planned. I do have a race in December, but we can talk about that next time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of my most excited is today. I have nothing to do after this. I mean, of course, if you guys can see my house and my background, I have a lot to do, but I have nothing scheduled for the whole rest of the day that I have to do.
Yeah, that's an amazing feeling.
I know, I'm so excited. So I'm going to actually, and I don't feel super tired yet. I'm sure I'll take a nap at some point because I work really early Thursday mornings now and I don't love it. But I feel like I'm going to wash my bedding and be productive.
I love it.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, let us know what you guys want to hear about for the next couple podcasts. We always have ideas floating around, but if somebody has a specific question or if one of you guys really want to hear about something or know more about something, we will shift it all around so that you guys can get what you need.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes.
We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review.
And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week.
Thanks for listening.
Make it a great day.